Hello and welcome to Immaculata University for the Lacrosse World Series Championship game. The top seed, Eclipse Black 2029, takes on the third seed, 3D Garden State 2029. I'm Nick Kloss alongside Lax Guy, Scotty Royster, and AJ Myers. For this big one, it's all come down to this. We started with 28 teams. They played in group play, and then a bracket was set 1 through 16, and these two remain. Scotty, AJ, great to be here with you. Scotty, you've been watching every game. Obviously, you're the guy for youth lacrosse. Excited for this moment and this game coming up.
Absolutely excited to watch this matchup. I know 3D Garden State pretty well, but watching Eclipse play this entire weekend, they've been cruising through their matchup. So it's going to be a good one. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, a bit of a David good 2 years ago, but now they've kind of rebounded all the way to this point, and they're coming up against a really good Eclipse team that has some really talented individual players, but they can also play as a team as well.
Just talking about how we get here is you get a look at some of the teams processing out. All 28 teams will process onto the field. Great to have all of them here coming to Pennsylvania to participate. For Eclipse, it was Moose Lax, who they started with in the first round, then Duke's Elite, who they took down 13-4, and then they took down Fusion Futures, all of those winning by a good amount. They've been dominant throughout this tournament, and then for 3D Garden State, they've had a little rougher road. They have a 5-4 win over BBL Central, then getting the win over Long Island Express, and then True Chesapeake, who True Chesapeake was a true Cinderella story. The 10 seed made it all the way to the semifinals, and then they were up 4-2, but it showed the resiliency of 3D Garden State. They were down 4-2, ended up scoring 5 straight to get the win 7-4.
It's that resiliency they've showed. Even, they've been together for 4 years. We spoke to their head coach. This is a really united group, and they're ready to play these tight, kind of close games because of how much they've been through to get to this point. And even going down 4-2, it didn't matter too much to them because they're such a tight-knit group. They could fight over that, and they're going to need to do that, especially today, because this is a really talented Eclipse side.
I mean, you can't forget about the Garden State boys. They're from the greatest state in the Union, so we're talking about New Jersey. These guys got that Jersey grit, so don't count these boys out for a second.
Now we're looking at Garden State. Here's some of the action they've had throughout this tournament. They've been really solid. As AJ mentioned, this team has been together for a couple years, and they said no add-ons. They didn't recruit anyone for this moment. This is their team. They've played well throughout.
Absolutely played well. I mean, they just figure out a way to get it done. And the way they win every single one of their games is by hitting the back of the goal more than the other team.
Yeah, it's a real family atmosphere, I think, you're kind of getting with this Garden State team. And how much that helps them against super talented teams, maybe, man-to-man, not so much. But when they do go down, when they do face adversity, they're together and they're going to stick together.
And now Eclipse, they've been dominant. The #1 team in U.S. Club Lacrosse, 10-1 overall record. They just have not been slowed down. Their coach, Chip Buzzio, runs the defense. Mike Regan runs the offense. He said their defense right now, it's a machine.
Yeah, Eclipse has been putting on a clinic this entire World Series. And let's not forget about their X Factor, who is Caldroni in that net. He has some incredible saves, and it's hard to get a ball past him. When you have a goalie that's that exceptional at this age, that's a hard team to beat.
Yeah, they're a well-oiled machine, and they've shown that throughout this tournament. But when we were speaking to their head coach, he said that first game earlier this morning was a little tough in the first half. So even though on paper it may look like it's been an easy ride to this point, they have faced some tests. But it'll be interesting to see which team gets that first punch in at first, because who responds to adversity, I think, will be critical, and who comes out on top.
It definitely will be. And talking to Coach Buzzio, he said the biggest thing about this Eclipse team is their depth. They don't really have a fall off, and that's shown, as AJ mentioned. They've struggled in first half sometimes, but it's been in the second half where they've been able to just keep their foot on the gas pedal and put teams away fairly early into that second frame.
Yeah, when you have a youth tournament like this going on. These kids are playing day in, day out for 3 days in a row. Of course, your studs are going to get tired towards that second half, but with a team like Eclipse, they have so much depth that they are able to replace their starters and not have any type of fall off.
Yeah, and those slow starts are going to happen in this tournament-style play because so many teams, you just don't know them. You don't know who these players are, what they're facing up against. There's no film really to watch because these games have happened so tightly together. So that's why you see in the first, maybe even first quarter, almost some sloppy play from both teams because they just don't know the matchups or anything about these teams they're facing.
They're learning as they go, and as you see, there were a lot of teams, 28 teams in this tournament. And taking a look at that first day, Scotty, this is such a fun tournament because of all the new things they get to experience in this championship game. They get the jerseys, they get the stuff. But like this, they were at the casino, got to be processed in. It's a huge event, and you can tell they enjoy it.
Yeah, this is crazy that the kids get this type of clout, as they would say, in a introduction ceremony. The kids dressed up in their nice outfits. I even saw a team with their own individual, what are they called, canes? They're like the athletic Crocs. They were looking phenomenal at this introduction ceremony. And, nobody dresses better than a bunch of lacrosse players.
And now even at this championship game, both Garden State and Eclipse get new uniforms too. So a lot of new swag getting handed out.
Yeah, I mean, and we were all 12 once. Isn't this the coolest thing ever? That's the dream, especially as a young athlete. You're seeing the college players get all the gear, get all the free stuff, and, to compete at this stage, having cameras in your face, that's such a new experience that they get to enjoy.
How crazy is it now that lacrosse players who are 12, 13 years old have paparazzi? You used to have to be famous to get paparazzi, and now they have cameras in front of their face all the time.
Yeah, and I'm sure they're loving it. Even the build up to this game, when the players went in the locker room, the music started playing loud. You could tell they were really enjoying and savoring this moment.
We're going to take a look at the rosters for this championship game while the procession continues on the field. Looking at 3D Garden State first. I mentioned number 18, Charlie Hughes. He's that first-team All-World face-off guy for them. A big part of this team, but overall a very top-to-bottom good roster. Like their head coach, Chris Stebbing, said, they're not recruiting players. This is their team. It's been their team for the past 4 years. He mentioned 2 years ago they lost to Mad Lax Capital by 17, and now they've progressed to this moment where they're playing in the Lacrosse World Series.
Keeping the team together for so long builds that chemistry. And when you see these national teams just start recruiting teams, they miss out on that chemistry that Garden State might have, which is a level that a lot of teams don't have. So hopefully their chemistry proves to be superior in this game.
Yeah, with this Garden State team, what you see is what has been seen for the last 2, even 4 years. This coach has been with this group for so long. He knows his players so well. And that's really why, outside of the X's and O's and the skills that this team possesses, but that's really why they're here. It's just because they have that unity, they have that togetherness, and it's led them all the way to a championship game.
And now we'll take a look at the top team in the country in Eclipse and their roster. A guy to look at, Aiden Kwok, and he might be 12 years old in that U13 category. You look at the stick skills some of these kids have, especially on this Eclipse team. They can be playing with 9th and 10th graders at their skill set.
Yeah, I look at some of these kids play, and I'm like, why was I never this good? These kids shoot the ball faster than I do. They run faster than I do, and their stick skills are better than mine ever were. And these kids aren't even teenagers yet.
And you mentioned it. You were at the fastest shot booth that was around at the United Sports Facility. You were saying there were guys almost touching you that were playing in this tournament.
Yep. I believe there was a kid that actually shot 93, but, I was dressed up, so I didn't try that hard. But your boy only shot 92. So,
hey, over 90.
Over 90. But it's even crazier that a kid is shooting 93. I'm talking some of my college teammates could even shoot that. And these kids are in middle school shooting 93. That's crazy.
Yeah, and I think that's something you'll especially see with this Eclipse team because they just have so many talented guys who, even on defense, can provide things in the attack.
Right now, you're getting a look at each of the team captains for these 28 teams receiving a plaque, getting some honors for leading each of their teams to this tournament, which was an achievement on its own. And a lot of these teams making a good push as well. Obviously, Eclipse and 3D Garden City will be the two facing off in this championship game, coming just 20 minutes away. And Scotty, you've been running social media. You've been running around like crazy throughout this tournament. What's been your favorite part?
I mean, my favorite part is just seeing the kids play so hard, because I think a lot of the time you see kids just play to play, but they play for a meaning in this tournament. Everybody wants to be on this stage in front of all these people, because they're going to remember this game for the rest of their life. Because you see these kids walking into the locker room, seeing their new jerseys. There's not an experience like that, and I think these kids really deserve it. I mean, I know how hard that summer circuit is, and this type of event right here, it makes it all worth it.
Eclipse and Garden State have both played a lot of tournaments over the summer. This isn't their first rodeo of the summer, but I think this is definitely the one that means the most because of the atmosphere, because of the stage.
And also, they've had to play through just hot heat, and you're on the turf right now. We've all been there. A lot of people listening were youth lacrosse players at one time, or were parents who are, hats off to you parents, sitting on those sidelines. A lot of you are prepared with those canopy chairs. You got the shade, but, staying in the action through the heat, all these players, hats off to everyone. You got Team Israel in the house, along with some teams from Canada and the United States, as we're going to step aside for all three of those national anthems. But we'll be back with more pregame after that. Thanks for standing by for those three national anthems. And obviously we started with Team Israel, which leads into the subject of just the growth of this sport over the past 10, 20 years. And now a country like Israel, you're seeing more in the World Championships, the World Junior Championships, more countries getting involved. Japan had a good showing at the last World Championships. You're seeing that growth throughout the world and now throughout the country, going out west, more D1 teams. It's just a booming sport.
Absolutely, such a booming sport. And I think something that is kind of controversial is the game of sixes. I think that's allowing the game to grow a whole lot, because you don't need as much equipment, you don't need as many kids to play. And how are people not attracted to watch to just playing lacrosse? I've been incorporated with several different companies that grow the game, such as City Lax, and I see all the initiatives they take to bring the game into urbanized communities. And, the people who are lucky enough to have the gift of lacrosse are doing a great job of bringing it to people who might not know of it yet.
Yeah, whether it's youth lacrosse or even professional lacrosse, but we see a lot of pro leagues now, from it just being televised and nationally recognized. Even in the last 3 to 4 years, that growth has just spiked so much.
It's been fantastic to see. I know for me and Scotty, you played in college, I played in college for a little bit, just being the youth scene, being on the youth scene, and now seeing how much it's grown. It's been crazy to see. And you mentioned sixes, which is a subject we can talk about. So that's just a smaller field than what you're going to see today on this broadcast. And it's more of like a basketball lacrosse hybrid. You don't have a face-off as much. You pull it out of the net and you keep going. But Scotty, as you mentioned, that's a style that's being adapted more to help the growth of the game.
Yeah, that's the style that's going to be incorporated in the Olympic Games in LA in 2028. Why do I think it's a great tool to use to grow the game? It's because not as many kids are needed to play in a game. It's 6-on-6. You don't need too many kids. And I think it allows the kids to develop all their skills offensively and defensively. So I like sixes. I'm not mad about it being in the Olympics. At least there's some form of lacrosse in the Olympics.
Yeah, I think any variation of lacrosse is, whether it's helping the players or helping, outsiders get involved with lacrosse, even with box lacrosse, another form of the game. It's just another way for the game to grow. And any variation of lacrosse, I think, always brings excitement for people.
And it's in the Olympics.
Yeah.
That's something we never thought we'd say. It is an Olympic sport in 2028 in Los Angeles. It was every country that hosts the Olympic Games gets to choose a few sports that they want to bring in. The United States is a big lacrosse hub. Obviously, the top country other than Canada in the world at the sport, electing to bring it in, which is such an amazing thing. And that's something, when we talk growth, that shows the growth of the game, that lacrosse is now an Olympic sport. So now we'll bring you back to these two teams, 3D Garden City, that you are watching right there, getting ready for this game, and Eclipse on the other side. We've talked about them a little bit. If you're just tuning in now, 3D coached by Chris Stebbings, Eclipse by Chip Buzzio and Mike Regan. An exciting game, an exciting matchup. Eclipse is definitely the team to watch and the team that everyone thinks as the Goliath of this tournament, and that's what they're looking to be in this game.
Yeah, Eclipse, everybody kind of knows who they are and what they do. But 3D Garden State has been doing their thing the entire tournament. You know, each one of their games were a close game. They've showed some grit, that Jersey grit, and hopefully they can do it again against Eclipse. I'm hoping for a really good game right here.
Yeah, I think the most interesting thing I'm looking forward to is who starts off fast, because both coaches have alluded to slower starts or starts where their teams had to come from behind. So who jumps out in front first, I think, will really dictate the flow of this game.
And AJ, on that, Eclipse head coach Chip Buzzio mentioned they've started slow sometimes. So for 3D Garden State, that you got to think the game plan has to be, if you can jump on them in that first half, then you might be able to hold them off in the second when they've been really good.
Especially when you're an underdog. Any advantage you can get early on, that's cushion to help you later on.
And for Eclipse, talking to Coach Buzzio, he said they don't really have a weakness. He said through the top and bottom of their roster, they all take care of business, which is what you need to do today, especially to win a tournament like this, going from 28 teams down to the top 2. Just going back over how they got to this point. We'll start with Eclipse 2029 Black. They won 9-3 over Moose Lax Orange, then got a 13-4 win over Duke's Elite. And after that, took on Fusion Futures to get to this point. And for Garden State, they were the 3 seed, taking on the 14 BBL, winning that game 5-4 in a very close one. Then taking on Long Island Express, winning 8-5. And after that, a win 7-4 over True Chesapeake, who was the 10 seed, the lowest seed to make it to the Final Four or the semifinals. And they were down 4-2 in that first half, and then were able to score 5 straight goals, make it a 7-4 win. And a big reason was Charlie Hughes. And the faceoff dot will be a big thing to watch today, because as you know, Scotty, if you can keep possession from that faceoff, not let your team have it, possession's the best defense.
Absolutely. The other team can't score when you have the ball. So if Garden State starts winning that at the X and they keep the ball, don't rush it to get a shot off, that might be their game plan, actually. We might be already spilling the beans about their game plan.
Yeah, and talking to Eclipse defensive coach, Coach Buzio, he said that his message to the team in the hotel a few nights ago was, who's going to make the plays? Because there's so much individual talent that I almost think he thinks his guys sometimes, he doesn't want them to get too passive, relying on someone else to make the play. No, each player has to be stepping up and making the plays for themselves. That's what happened in the game earlier today when they came down. They had individual players making plays and not relying on other teammates to make those plays.
Yeah, when we talked to him, he talked all about, hey, these are the guys to watch. He talked about Aiden Kwok. He talked about Thomas Frawley on the defensive end. Guys who are, the big dogs of the team. But he said, don't look to your teammate to make a big play. Make it yourself, and his example of that is in that last semifinal game, they were starting to struggle, like I mentioned, in that first half. Well, they had one of their D-mids go on a fast break. He scored, then he strips a guy on the other end, and that is some short stick defensive midi love, first off, because they deserve it. And second off, you need those players to show those gritty plays, and especially guys like the short stick D-mid, those positions that are sometimes overlooked. And as kids go to college, you need short stick D-mids. They're important. The LSMs, those guys on the defensive end, those gritty players on the wings, they got to step up today.
the older you get, the more you start to see how important those positions are. But you see it now with short 6D mids. These kids are good enough now with short 6D mids that they can play both sides of the ball. Every single youth player needs to know how to play defense, because I'll tell you what, the best offensive players that I've seen in high school often get switched to being a D mid in college.
Good amount of them. I've seen many All-Americans at the high school level, All-American offensive midfielders that end up playing defensive midfield. Same thing in the PLL as well, where you'll see some great offensive players at the college level now playing on the defensive side of the ball, and that's what coaches like to see at every single level for all the young kids watching, hoping to play at a high level of lacrosse. You know, you always need to be able to step up to fill a role, whatever it may be, for all these teams. Under 6 minutes now to play here at Immaculata University between Eclipse and 3D Garden State. Team from Connecticut, the #1 overall club lacrosse team in the country, going against the number 16 team based on U.S. Club Lacrosse rankings in 3D Garden State 2029. Excited to get things started, and at this point it's just anticipation. We're just waiting to get things going, and there's a look at 3D Garden State. Getting a talk from their head coach, Chris Stebbings.
Now, I have a question for you guys. Like, if you guys played sports growing up, right? What was your nervous tick that you'd have before a game? What would you do before a game?
I mean, I have to say, I never played on a stage quite like this, but I think in terms of nerves, I always found it's always the worst the first 5 minutes. Once you get through the first 5 minutes of a game, then things can calm down. But especially at a stage like this, I mean, it's totally understandable if these guys are a little nervous.
I was a goalie, so for me it was keep it loose. I didn't want to feel any of the pressure, even though there was pressure. Just have some fun, keep it loose, keep dialed in, because, you know, I don't want to hear the outside noise as a goalie. I know I have one job to do, and it's keep the ball out of the net, and I wanted to focus on that, not listen to anything else. So really just not listen to the noise, which is, I'm sure, what these kids are trying to do right now. What about you, Scott?
Man, I'm clearly a guy with a lot of energy, and I love to keep on moving. But when I was playing on a big stage like this, I found myself really calm and finding a zen spot, just putting on some music, calming down, and getting my mind in the right place. Because last thing I want to do is come onto the field too electric, too much energy, too chaotic. And I think I did a pretty good job in my college days of calming down and focusing at the task at hand.
Any superstitions, though, before a game or even the day before?
No superstitions. I remember I did try once to eat a chicken cutlet sandwich before every game. Not the best decision, so couldn't be a superstition.
Yeah, I ate Wendy's and had a Frosty before every game. So that just shows what high school nutrition, you know? So that wasn't the best idea. Put on a few pounds doing that, especially with the goalie part. Not a lot of running. So that's not the best way to do it, kids, if you're listening. Make sure you're eating healthy, taking care of your body if you want to do this at a high level. And we're ready to get going with the first quarter. 11 minutes on the clock. 4 quarters of 11 minutes between Eclipse and Garden State for the Lacrosse World Series Championship. And here we go. There's Charlie Hughes, number 18, on the face-off. Picked up on the wing by Matthew Solomon. Takes it, gets his touch in the box, and Garden State will be the first team on the offensive end here in the championship game.
They have 6v5.
Numbers right now.
There it is.
For Garden State from New Jersey, going to the top, trying to get a pass back. Luke Moy just off the mark for Connor McKeon. As now Eclipse picking it up and Wheels on the other side. Taken away. A great effort play by Connor McKeon. Gets it right back for Garden State. They can settle back in. Declan Troy gets a touch. Now everyone working it all the way around. Solomon again for that first midfield unit for Garden State.
We talked about earlier how important it was to win those faceoffs, and you already see that now. Garden State winning that first faceoff, they can settle in a little bit.
It's been a big reason they've been able to win all these games to this point as Luke Moy gets it back for McKeon. Laying up top, a first touch now for Jackson Stebbings. Has the short stick matchup. Guarded by Eric Cuttree. 15 in white for Eclipse. Goes over top with the pick from McKeon. Stays with it. Both these teams 6-0 in the Lacrosse World Series, starting with 3 games in group play. As a split dodge from Moy. Shot fired, back up, good for Garden State.
That's a great move from Garden State. That's going to be the name of the game. They're going to be patient on offense. But their first possession was exactly what they were looking for. Got the 6v5 matchup, and you just got to catch that and can that next time.
There's Declan Troy, Cedric Schick. As a rogue pass drops ahead of McKeon, and now Eclipse trying to get it over and back, so Eclipse will get their first offensive possession of today's championship game with 8.5 minutes left to play in the first quarter.
I think it's interesting you see Garden State, they had that opportunity with the quick catch and shoot. They couldn't get it done. How many of those opportunities are they going to get, especially now that we're going to be seeing Eclipse on the offensive end for the first time today? How effective will they be?
We've watched this Eclipse team. They do not waste offensive possessions very often. Here's Nick Warden. Pass inside, picked up by the goalie in Benjamin Cohen-Victor. Good outlet pass, hits James Kowalski on a run. Fast break for Garden State, down low. Good movement, shoot, they score. Cedric Schick makes it 1-0 as 3D Garden State strikes first.
You got the traditional 4v3 fast break, and it was ran to perfection. Bang, bang, goal.
That time, Garden State taking advantage of the opportunity. They had a transition play wide open in front of Cage, not missing the opportunity there.
Jackson Stebbings gets the assist, as Scotty mentioned. Perfectly executed. You draw the defender, move the ball, and have the doorstep opportunity that they complete, up 1-0. And there is the first team All-World Fogo doing his thing, and Charlie Hughes getting another win for Garden State so they can keep possession.
And you talk about Charlie Hughes, it's crazy to think his story, because just 2 years ago he wasn't even playing lacrosse. He was in Great Britain playing rugby, and now he's on this stage playing lacrosse. And at first, his coach said he wasn't a good face-off, but he's learned. These summer tournaments have really helped him, and now he's one of the best players on the field right now.
Been very impressive to see. As coming down 11 in blue, Mason Melandro gets pushed outside, has the short stick at goal line extended. Trying to work top side. Good defense from Eclipse so far. The short stick D-mid and TJ Haggerty. Everyone getting a touch. Declan Troy now at X, comes top side, fakes the shot. Mason Melandro now moves it. Here's King. Luke Moy with the hockey stop turn. Over the top, getting a piece. Good check, drops the ball from Jude McBride. One of 2 twins on the Eclipse team. Callum McBride, his brother, the third best midi on this Eclipse team, as it's pulled out by Thomas Frawley. Top defenseman on Eclipse, 29 Black, as they'll try to move it for the fast break. Coming down, Jonathan Veeder loses it in the middle. Now free. Benjamin Cohen-Victor in cage, comes out to get it. Another clear opportunity, and it looks like possibly another slow start here for Eclipse.
You know, that was a tough fast break there. They had the 5v4, but the kid just decided to dodge inside instead of just move the ball. I always say to my team is when you draw, you dump the ball because you did your job. Got some good defense right there. Hopefully Eclipse gets the ball back. No, flag down.
So our first flag of the day, we'll have to see who goes into the box on what side. Heading that way right now is Nick Warden. And it is against Eclipse, and actually it's going to be McAnamy Gaumer taking a knee in the box.
And I think for Eclipse, 5 minutes in, I think you can maybe not fully label it a slow, kind of sluggish start, but I think Garden State, their slower pace is kind of affecting Eclipse because they don't really know how to defend with it, and also in transition, they just haven't executed well.
I think it's just the pregame jitters, you know? I think going into a game with this magnitude is nerve-wracking for these kids. You forget everything that you learned. So just give them some time. It's like going on a first date.
Doorstep, what a feed! Cedric Schick's got 2, and a great look from the top as that's missiled inside by Mason Melandro to get his first assist of the day, and 2 doorstep goals for 3D Garden State.
Cedric Schick has been wide open in front of cage, and he's not made a mistake on both opportunities.
Very impressive goal there for Schick. It's been mostly impressive positioning, and it's not all about beating your man one-on-one. Sometimes it's just being in the right place at the right time, and Schick's been the beneficiary of that. Up 2-0, and that waves the flag as another flag drops, so that is a man-up goal for 3D Garden State, as now another call.
I'm sorry, what was your question there? What was your question there?
Well, he's had 2 opportunities right in front of cage, and he hasn't made any mistakes. No question.
Okay, all right. I thought Garden State was going to call a timeout there when they saw the pole get in pressure, but they got an even better result with a flag down.
And this one will be against Nick Warden, who takes a seat in the box. So after a very well executed man-up opportunity, they're going right into another one, up 2-0, as Garden State is up on the top team in the country, who has really handled every opponent up to this point. Right now, Garden State with a great opportunity to go up 3-0 with 3 minutes left now in the first quarter. Here's Moy up top, gets it right back.
Down.
To the other side, Schick, another low side saved. Christian Caldroni in cage for Eclipse. They get the ball back now on a clear. Good ride here from Garden State. Tons of pressure. Finally, the ball drops, and I believe a timeout from Eclipse. Very well timed from their head coach, Chip Buzzio, to keep the ball with the white team.
Thought Schick had a hat trick there. He was right in front of cage again. He finished the first 2 chances, but a good save by the Eclipse keeper.
Great save by Caldroni. I think he just needs to take a couple more steps up, increase that angle, and then he'll can that.
Just a little too short side, right on goal line extended, really, and it was a good job by Caldroni. Was able to just hold that pipe, which is one of the main things most goalies, the high-level goalies, need to do well, is hold that pipe, not allow them to take you off, and any goal that sneaks in right on the pipe, if they're low side, is one you do not want to give up. As here's another look at the replay. There's Cedric Schick's goal from earlier. He's got 2. As you see another one here, just right on the doorstep. His positioning, his feel for the defense has been phenomenal.
So do you see the difference with those 2 goals that he scored first? He was more in front of the goal, right in the middle of it. And that last take he had, he decreased the angle by being on at GLE essentially. So that's what the difference between it, because Caldroni's too good. If you're a shooter and you're shooting it on GLE, Caldroni's hugging that pipe, and that's not getting through.
So on the restart, Eclipse with the ball after that timeout, just over the midfield line. Just a brisk walk to keep it in. They'll still have to get a touch, and they do. So really getting our second look at this Eclipse offense. Trying to get their first goal is Nick Warden. Goes up top, Liam Regan, number 1 in white, as here's Aiden Kwok, top midfielder for Eclipse Black, also part of the first team all-world team in this tournament. Shot from outside, stopped by Cohen Vigdor. First save of the day for him as a split dodge from Landon King in the midfield breaks some ankles.
That's how you put somebody on a tape. Look at little man go. Good for him.
Right in front of the cameras, too, on the short side. We'll see a clip of that.
Oh, yeah.
So back on the offensive end, Garden State trying to keep their foot on the gas with now 90 seconds to play in the first quarter. Luke Moy up top, back to that first midfield unit. Declan Troy playing attack. He's going to go top side, bring the pull up top.
Garden State just slowing it down right here. They're not in a rush. They're knowing Garden State, they're going to hold it for the last shot. So if I was Eclipse, I would probably put a little bit of pressure on him right now.
One difference, if you're used to watching college lacrosse, the shot clock is not a thing in youth lacrosse, so they can hold on to it as long as they'd like right now. So here's Luke Moy. Up top, he's got the short stick.
This is their guy.
Bringing the ISO. Splits to the right. Runs with it, going top. Trying to go down. Pass in front from Jackson Stebbings. Matthew Solomon with the finish.
Isn't this crazy right now, guys? Garden State making a statement in the first quarter. 3-0. Clock is winding down at the end of the first. This is crazy, but it's not about how a team starts the game. It matters how they end the game, and that's probably what's going to be said in that huddle. Don't take your foot off of that gas.
Garden State's just simply executing. They're running their offense at a slow pace, getting that ball in front of cage, and they're executing every time they have a clear shot on goal.
There it is. I mean, when you get into that huddle right now, what I would tell the team is, what's the score, guys? It's 0-0. Make sure you come out with the same energy that you guys came out in that first quarter.
Great job in the first quarter by Garden State, up 3-0. Cedric Schick has 2 goals. That third goal by Matthew Solomon. Jackson Stebbings in the midfield with 2 assists as well. Scotty, just what are your early takeaways from that first quarter presented by Games Changer?
So Garden State came out hot. I love to see it. They came out with great energy and sticking to the game plan. The coaches know what they're talking about. They're probably telling the kids, make sure you guys hold the ball and go for the quality look. But with Eclipse, I'm seeing them be a little frantic right now. They're settling for bad shots, but I have no doubt that Eclipse is going to figure it out sooner or later.
I just think for Eclipse, you just haven't seen them play their game. I don't think the players have really, not meant the moment necessarily, but just they haven't gotten into the game yet. They have this second quarter. I think now they've identified where this Garden State team is really effective. I think we're going to see a much better Eclipse side in the second frame.
Yeah, Eclipse has been dominant throughout this tournament, but as Coach Buzzio said, slow starts have been something that has worried them throughout the summer as a whole, not just this tournament, but imagining they've been able to turn it around every single game they've played, should be able to do it again here today. And you got to think, for these kids, this might be the biggest crowd they've ever played in front of. Nonetheless, they're playing on a live stream, but there's plenty of people out here who stayed after that procession. It's a little different when you have a big grandstand watching you than a bunch of parents lined up on a sideline.
I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret. This is more people at this game that were ever at any of my college games at Kane. I don't know why, but this is the most amount of people.
They missed
out. Yeah, I know. This is the most amount of people I've seen at a game in a while. And, you know, it's a whole lot of pressure, but you can't make a diamond without pressure.
Back underway for the second quarter. Loose ball push going against Garden State as Eclipse will take it for an offensive possession now as they trade sides. Looking for their first goal of this Lacrosse World Series Championship game. Giving it to Aiden Kwok. Top midfielder for Chip Buzzio and Mike Regan, co-head coaches. Regan handles the offense. Says he likes to run it through Kwok as he goes down low for Liam Regan. Great cut, BTB. Cohen Victor was ready.
That's the perfect time to take the BTB. That's just an outstanding save by the goalie.
Engel was shutting down as he was going towards goal line extended. The BTB gave him a better shot at a goal. Cohen Victor was just ready for it as a nice snag from Declan Troy on the clear. As Garden State gets it, and it looks like
a delay
of game going against Garden State. Gives it back to Eclipse.
I'm sorry, not a delay. It was a failure to advance. He got a short time to bring it to the other box.
So that failure to advance does give Eclipse another chance.
That pass was a hospital pass. That's scary. I'm surprised he didn't get killed on that play.
Declan Troy was able to get up and grab it, but no contact.
I do think for Eclipse, you already see them be a little bit more comfortable on offense to start the second quarter.
Feed in front, over the top, and there it is. Eric Cutry gets the goal on the feed from Liam Regan. We got a 3-1 game.
Yep, and you know how that whole offensive possession started? With a failure to advance. They're going to capitalize on Garden State's mistakes. So what Garden State has to do is make sure they minimize their mistakes, because Eclipse knows what they're doing. So don't give them any more opportunities than they already have.
And in the first quarter, it was Garden State capitalizing on the man-up opportunities, and now Eclipse, they get that penalty there. They score, taking advantage of a chance they get.
And now a face-off win for Eclipse, as this could be the momentum change that they need to push things towards a 3-2 and eventually a tie game, as they're trying to get back in this one. And obviously the sport of lacrosse, a 3-goal lead, a 2-goal lead is almost nothing with how quick this game can move. Callum McBride gets a free shot over the top, soars wide, and the backup for Eclipse.
In that first quarter, Eclipse didn't win a single faceoff. They've won 2 in this second quarter, and they have a goal.
It's a game at the X, and like what you were saying before, it's a game of runs. Like I was here 2 years ago, and Team 91 came back against BBL, and they were down by 5 at a point in this championship game. So anything is possible when you're at the World Series.
Nick Warden passes up top, goes back, and no one can keep it over. So over and back gives it to Garden State, who can try and make another 3-goal lead. They have to bring the ball all the way back, which halts any fast break they could have gotten out of that over and back. But now Declan Troy starting with it, number 3 in the dark blue. Under 8 minutes to go at the half. We'll see the announcement of the all-world teams. They've already been released, but each player will receive a nice gift for the honor of being a first or second all-world player. Jackson Stebbings makes the pass for Thomas Morris. Has a little bit of an outlet. Doesn't take it down the right alley. Back up top. Stebbings with 2 assists so far in this game for McKeon. Has the short stick matchup. Was on the inside trying to free up the left hand. Here's Morris with the shot. Caldroni pops one up for his first save. Thomas Frawley, the big long pull for Eclipse. He's always a good choice on the clearing game. He just one man clears it to the other side and sets things up for Eclipse. Jonathan Veter with it now. Seeing a first look at Ryan Fish, number 6 in white, as Eclipse taking their time, knowing it's only a 3-1 game. They want to execute, as AJ said. That's been the difference. Garden State has been able to execute. Now Eclipse trying to do the same thing. Going down low, Regan. Back up top for Callum McBride, his twin brother Jude on the defensive end. Gets to the left hand, inside, sidearm rip from Benjamin Marich. And Cohen Victor, as Scotty just said, he runs it out, gets the backup.
Listen, if I was on offense for Eclipse right now, I'd be pretty upset with that. The TAC has one big job, and that's to make sure somebody's at X.
Always got to have backup. So important to keep possession. It's a possession game. We've talked about it multiple times. You have to value each one. And not having backup is one of those ways that frustrates a lot of coaches. James Kowalski, number 4 in blue.
I think the possessions are even more critical in this game because Garden State, they want to suck that time away. And for Eclipse, they may not get too many opportunities for clear-cut scoring chances.
So right now they're going for the invert. Watch the guys get high right now. Big dodge, beat your man, and then move it up top for a step-down shot. Good save by Caldroni.
Caldroni picks up another, going for the outlet on the other side, overthrows it, running it down for Eclipse. Jonathan Veter keeps it in. A great hustle play. As now it's a fight for a ground ball. Gotta win the simple things, not easy things. Face-offs, ground balls. 2 of the statistics you need to lead if you want to get a win. You can win without them, but it's a lot tougher. Possible fast break going right down the middle. Intercepted by his own teammate. Cedric Schick was waiting for it. Jackson Stebbings hits the pass from Mason Melandro as now Caldroni's out of his cage, trying to get it and get it on the clear. Here's Thomas Frawley going for a one-man clear once again.
Oh, they're even. They're good.
Frawley having to run it around. No one there to help for the pass. No problem for him as he can get a skip up top to set up the offense. And now Eclipse will bring the middies in from the box.
So much happening on that last possession. Caldroni split the double but lost the ball. But luckily that didn't end up like a bad thing for the Eclipse.
Aiden Kwok with pressure. The pass goes low. Can it be kept in? Fumbled by Will Zuckerman, and Garden State gets it back again. Another mistake that Eclipse needs to get rid of in this second half, and in this second quarter and the second half is now Aiden Kwok taking it down low. Cohen Victor's been fantastic. Another save.
Absolutely.
I don't think you're beating Vickers that way in this game.
You're not going to beat him that way, but he has to clean up his clearing game right now. He's the one shooting himself in the foot right now.
Something you hate to see as a goalie when you get the save. That's the hardest part. And then you got to see another shot down low. Eclipse makes it a 3-2 game. Benjamin Marich with the goal, going 5-hole.
See, now Eclipse probably thinks they're going on a run, and when a team like this starts to think that they're going on a run, they become a very hard team to stop. So this next goal is going to be very important for Garden State.
Exactly. I think for either team, who's got that momentum going into halftime, because it's really been a tale of 2 quarters.
It really has been 3-0 for Garden State before coming back the other way, making it 3-2 as a face-off win. Maxwell Jacobs almost gets it.
It's a tough call.
Cohen Victor almost gets the backup again, but staying with Eclipse with under a minute and a half to play. Brought down, they're saying a call against 3D Garden State and Charles Nigerian.
Eclipse has completely flipped the momentum at the X. In the first quarter, they couldn't win any face-off, and now they have.
Here's the restart, under a minute now.
Can't make that pass right there. He's out of bounds.
Pushed out, and a flag flies onto the field. Some laundry to pick up as it looks like Luke Grisb is going to get called.
Probably a push with possession. I think that's a tough pass for Eclipse. He wanted to get rid of that ball and passed it to somebody who was covered. But luckily, once again, they get bailed out with flag with the push with possession, but you can't be making passes like that, Eclipse, if you want to win this game.
So they get bailed out now. A man-up opportunity for Eclipse. A very good man-up team with their ability to move the ball, as head official's gonna stop the progress right now, make sure everything's all square with the clock and the penalty.
So that attackman for Eclipse, he's number 1 right there.
Liam Regan?
Yes, that kid's feet are unbelievable. What he doesn't have in size, he makes up for in footwork. That kid is quick.
And you hear that also in the college ranks and the professional ranks. Size doesn't matter if you're better at the other thing. Stick skill, as he goes a sidearm feed up top. Too high for Aiden Kwok, but he makes up for the lack of size with his ability to work his feet and move the ball with his stick. Back for Kwok, getting the feed from Cutry, who has a goal today. Goes down the right alley, works it around for Nick Warden. Warden, big guy on the offensive end for Eclipse. Skip pass, Kwok with a nice underneath backhand. Gets stopped, Cohen Victor. Another save, and Kwok just years above his age and skill level, as now the quarter ends, so no goal there. A great move, but the door shut by Benjamin Cohen Victor as the first half ends at 3-2.
Absolutely crazy take right there. Did you guys see that? I do not understand how these kids are that good. He toe dragged somebody and tried to finish behind the back. How did that even come to somebody's brain at this age? I would have never thought of that situation. I would have just fell in the crease, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that would have been some goal from Eric Kwok, but just couldn't get it finished. But I think that's the danger that Eclipse shows. They have those individual players who can just pull anything out of the hat.
It's honestly, it's the Lyle Thompson effect. It's the Connor Fields effect. It's the Kavanaugh brothers effect. That backyard fun lacrosse style that has been so big in the last couple of years. And you're seeing these kids pick it up, their ability to make the creative plays.
Growing up, what I had coaches tell me was just dodge down the alley and shoot the ball as hard as you can. Now you see coaches really wanting kids to become creative with their sticks, seeing how being creative could really help their team. For example, look at how behind the backs were looked at 10 years ago. I remember shooting behind the back was looked at down upon back in the day, but now, even in this game, you see how it could be used in your advantage. You have a decreasing angle, shoot that thing behind the back.
It was a guaranteed way to make your coach mad pretty much about 10 years ago. If you wanted to run laps, try a BTB, and when you give up the ball, your coach will make you pay. But now that's not how it is. It's creativity. Embrace it. Use those creative moves to your benefit, and they're embracing that a lot in that game. So let's look a little bit at that first half. Scotty, what are your takeaways from those first 2 quarters? A tale of 2 quarters, the first for Garden State, the second for Eclipse.
So like you guys said earlier today, it's been a battle between the 2 quarters. Garden State goes on that run in the first quarter, ends the quarter, 3-0, and then Eclipse goes on the run in the second quarter. It was 2-0. So I think that we got a good one shaping up here. That music got me going. I'm feeling a little electric here. I'm wondering what the coaches are saying in the locker room right now. But Garden State is saying, hey, guys, you took your foot off a little bit in that second quarter, but we need to get back to our roots and do what we're good at, and let's clear the ball the right way.
For Eclipse is exactly what their head coaches said was a problem for them in earlier games in this tournament was the slow starts. At first quarter, they just, not that they didn't look ready to play, but they just kind of came out slow, came out flat, let Garden State play their game. I think in the second quarter, you saw that individual talent and skill that Eclipse possesses.
And another interesting thing for this game is that these players have now a 20-minute halftime. In Summer League, that is not a normal thing. You're not used to that. They're heading into the locker room for a 20-minute break, and then they'll come back out to complete this game. That's an adjustment in and of itself to now slow things down, and then you're going to have to turn things back on in the second half.
20 minutes is a long time. They got enough time to go to Wawa and come back here. I'm not going to lie. I went to Wawa twice today, but I'm in Pennsylvania, so when in Rome, right?
You have to go to Wawa, get a hoagie for halftime, eat it, go in the second half. I'm sure that would go great. With me eating Wendy's before games, I would love to try. But that's the great thing about being a goalie, as you see there the all-world teams getting honored, each of them getting a shooting dummy and a sweatshirt for being part of those top two teams. To give our voices a break, we're going to step aside for a little bit here in halftime and come back with the second half action, a close one here at Immaculata University, 3-2. Garden State leads Eclipse.
Thomason from True Chesapeake. And Rebels captain Logan Fabian. At the X is Charlie Hughes at a 3D Garden State. And standing between the pipes for your first team All-World is Conrad Hudson from Duke Elite. And now let's hear it for your second team, All-World. The attack unit, Mikey Merrick out of True Chesapeake. Jude Michigan from Stealth Lacrosse. Patrick Everett from Team 91 Colorado. And Casey Levi of Team Israel. The midfield unit is Eric Kutri from Eclipse. Duncan O'Connor, BBL Central. Luke Boy at a 3D Garden State. And Mason McCarthy from Orange Trust. Your second team all defense is started with Jordan Sage out of Kings. Jack Depula from Riot Lacrosse. Jack Harned from Igloo Alpine Drift. And Harry Caruso from Legacy Predators. Your second team all face-off is Evan Sintaski from Boston World Series. And last, but certainly not least, it's goalkeeper Cody Cat from Predators Lacrosse. Everybody let's have a huge round of applause for the all-world team. Let's hear it one more time for our all-world team. Everyone stick around in 13 minutes to get the second half of the World Series Championship.
Game Changer makes it simple to live stream your team's games so fans can follow the action from anywhere. A tripod helps make it smooth and easy. Score the game on a second device and it will update right in your live stream.
Hello and welcome back here at Immaculata University for the second half of the Lacrosse World Series Championship game. The 1 seed Eclipse 2029 Black taking on the 3 seed 3D Garden State 2029. First quarter, it was Garden State winning 3-0. The second quarter, Eclipse gets 2 unanswered goals to put us right here, 3-2. Here in this championship game. It's been a good one. Scotty Royster, Lax Guy, Scotty, AJ Myers here with me. And guys, it's been a good opening half, but you know, it's 3-2. This game could blow wide open in this frame.
Yeah, Garden State has to watch out for Eclipse going on a run. They scored the last 2 goals, and if they keep on going, like I said earlier, it's going to be a hard train to stop. You don't want a team like that start to get hot. But Garden State has to watch out for those failed clears and win in the X, because in the first quarter, they were killing Eclipse at the X, but Eclipse made some adjustments and evened it up at the X.
I think Eclipse, especially at the end of that second quarter, they really showed their individual brilliance and how much individual talent each one of these players has. They can pull off a fancy move, pull off a behind the back. That's something Garden State really has to be aware of if they want to keep this lead for the rest of the game.
Both goalies were fantastic in Christian Caldroni, number 18, and White for Eclipse, and Benjamin Cohen-Victor, number 20, in the dark blue. It looks like both will return. Obviously, a lot of the times in youth lacrosse, you'll see the switch at the half. In this game, it looks like the top guy will stay in. Obviously, a lot of talent in the goals for both these teams, but it is Benjamin Cohen-Victor, who is a big reason, Scotty, that it's not 6-3 Eclipse right now.
Yeah, the goalie's putting his butt off for Garden State right now, but like I said earlier, it's all about those special teams, man. And if you can't clear the ball and you keep on giving Eclipse some more opportunities, it's going to end up bad news for you.
Here at the Face-Off X, starting the third quarter, Charlie Hughes has been fantastic, getting a lot of those wins, but Eclipse in the second quarter figured him out, as they have again, winning all the faceoffs in the second quarter. That first quarter, Hughes was dominant, but now Eclipse figuring that out. They have the offensive possession to start the third quarter.
That's a big problem for Garden State if Hughes cannot win those faceoffs, because that's why they've been so successful. If he can't win those, then it could be a long second half for Garden State.
Up top, Eric Cutry has one of the 2 goals for Eclipse. Takes it down the right alley, draws a slide. Just keeps it moving for Nick Warden. Warden trying to get the top side, back up for Cutry. Cutry has the pull on him, pushed out. On defense, Elijah Stopa guarding him one-on-one. Cutry.
They want him to have that shorty, and they got it.
Finally gets that switch. He has an inside roll, jump shot, across the middle, doesn't go. Warden now has it at X. Moves it up top. Aiden Kwok down low, low to high, Ripper goes high. They have the backup.
You saw what they were doing for 15. They're trying to give him the shorty, countless picks. That's like the Steph Curry offense. Just give him as many picks as you want so you get the matchup you want. And once you get that shorty, they're going to set up that invert.
Warden with the size advantage here. Liam Regan at the size disadvantage. Feed in front. High to high guy doesn't work. Benjamin Cohen-Victor, another save. But can he clear the ball more efficiently in this second half?
Even.
Takes it over. Cohen-Victor gets double teamed. Kwok tries to take it away. He gets tripped, and it's going against Garden State. Cohen-Victor's got to get back into his cage, and the official slows play, saying they have to go back to the spot of the foul. Nathan Kwok will do exactly that, and actually they're going to give him, or yes, they started at that spot, getting the touch, and Eclipse back with it.
Like I was saying before, another tough clear. Goalie's forced to bring it over the 50 and gets trapped into a double. Couldn't give it up fast enough Luckily, the whistle was blown because there was a fast break going the other way with an empty net.
Feels like he's lacking the confidence to distribute out of the back.
Cohen Victor with 6 saves in this game. On the other side, Christian Caldroni still in cage for Eclipse. Has 4. Nick Warden over the top. Saved again by Cohen Victor. Getting it right back on the rebound. Eclipse staying with it. The turn and pass for Aiden Kwok. Kwok goes over the top, has it taken away. Ground ball by Luke Grisb. And here's another clear attempt for Garden State. Great outlet. James Kowalski with it. Possible fast break. Tries to move it. The pressure shakes him. He almost throws it away. Kwok slows down on the ground ball, picked up by Matthew Solomon.
This is when...
In front. Feed doesn't go for Cedric Schick. And a whistle. I believe Garden State was in the crease, going the other way.
What I was about to say is this is when Garden State should call out a yellow. And, of course, they threw the ball away right there because they were trying to rush it and score another fast one. Calm it down a little bit. Act like you've been here before. Slow it down.
And you mentioned slowing it down. That's really how they scored their first 3 goals. It was when they got into their possession, into their sets, they were able to score.
And there's the step down rip from Aiden Kwok, the lefty. Sizzles one between the wickets and a 3-3 tie game.
Now you got to watch the body language of Garden State here. Hopefully they're still thinking they have this game, because if your body language starts suffering after that goal, Eclipse is going to capitalize and make sure they do what they do best.
Aiden Kwok, the goal scorer, he's really grown into this game. You can see now the confidence. Every time he gets on the ball, he just has that confidence about him that he can make any move and score.
Great face-off win. Maxwell Jacobs wins it back to himself. Uses his wingers in Jude McBride. McBride inside the pole, bounces just a little too high over the cage as it's picked up by Benjamin Maric. Now Warden lowers the shoulder, low to low rip, slight bouncer, backed up by Liam Regan.
The skills that these Eclipse kids have is unbelievable. I just watched a pole bring the stick below his ankles and still keep possession and able to get the shot off.
Little toe drag from McBride. Chip Buzzio mentioned depth is the best thing about this Eclipse team. They can use their whole roster. That's what makes them so good in the second half. Here's Nick Warden again. Goes up top, Ryan Fish. Fish steps down, jump shot! Goes top right. With 5 minutes left in the third quarter, Eclipse Black gets their first lead of the day.
This might be a time for Garden State to call a timeout, refresh, and reset, because I told you those Eclipse boys know what they're doing. Once they get the train going, you're not going to stop them.
This has really been a poor start to the second half for Garden State. They can't win any faceoffs, and the Eclipse coaches said everyone on this team has such great individual skill, and you're seeing that everyone's pulling out the flashy moves now. And another faceoff loss.
Picked up on the wing by Eric Cutry, and it's been wing play that's been the difference maker, as Charlie Hughes is so big. He can put the ball behind him, or he can make it a 50-50 ground ball, but the wing play from Eclipse has been fantastic in the second and now the third quarter to give them possession, as Warden coming from X once again, facilitating the offense as he has. Cutry, split dodge, nowhere to go, pulls it back out. Cutry with pressure on, tries to stop and start. Sticking on him, West Floor.
Oh.
Is a pick, separates, but they don't use it.
Now he has the shorty. Oof, and gave it up.
Now Aiden Kwok with the shorty. Garden State's gonna need a quick slide.
I don't know why
Kwok beats his man. Tries to bull dodge, drops the ball. 50-50 ground ball picked up again by Eclipse. Keeps the possession going.
21's got to know on that possession, you don't set the pick if you have the pull. That's why that situation got a little cluttered. Give them room. Let them cook.
Here's Liam Regan in front. Step down. Low to high. Eric Cutry. Second goal of the day. Eclipse up by 2.
That train is going downhill now.
Garden State, they've got to win a face-off, and they've got to get back into their offense because Eclipse, every time they go for an attack, it's just effective passing and even more effective shooting.
Momentum is 100% with Eclipse right now. So you got to imagine for Chris Stebbings and Garden State, it's about, like AJ said, win a face-off, but also get that next goal. You need to stop their momentum.
Yeah, stopping their momentum is what it's going to come down to right here, but look at them. When you have momentum, you play with confidence here.
On the run, down the right alley, a shot from Callum McBride. Had the feed from his brother Jude. And the backup for Garden State. And here's an opportunity, a clear. They need a successful clear as it goes down for James Kowalski in the midfield. He passes it up, and a successful one finally there for Garden State. Ripped from Troy, goes wide, but possession still with Garden State on the backup.
He had all day there and takes a low to high rip. He should be faking high, shooting low, getting as close as he can to the net. I know he can that.
Cedric Schick, 2 goals for Garden State. Pass inside, deflected down. No loose ball push called. Picked up by Meniscusi. And here's a possible fast break. Thomas Frawley, the big pull for Eclipse. So dominant. They get that yellow call for Eclipse. Slow things down with 1:10 seconds left in the third quarter.
That last pass for Garden State was a force, right? They had the ball on their side of the field for about 20 seconds, and they decided to force it to the crease. Now their defense is playing once again here.
Eric Cutry with 2 goals. Has the short stick matchup. .30 seconds now on the clock.
Eclipse, you have a feeling will take this all the way down. They want that last opportunity of the quarter to try to make it a 3-goal game.
Trying to do exactly that. Cutry off the post and out, looking for the hat trick.
That kid is so impressive.
Goes over, Troy picks it up. 5 seconds on the clock. Have to have the awareness.
No awareness.
Pulls it out. Doesn't know it's that late.
That's tough.
And that ends the third quarter. A big one for Eclipse. First quarter, all Garden State. Second, Eclipse, and the third goes to Eclipse with 3 goals to none, up 5-3.
That 15 Cutry is unbelievable. You just watched him take a college dodge. I'm talking about bringing a man way above the box, show him the wheels, go down the alley, realize you're not getting a slide, and sling that thing over your shoulder. The only thing that saved Garden State there was the pipe.
You're always going to thank your pipe as a goalie. You'll take that save any way you can get, or as long as it keeps it out of the net. So now, through 3, AJ and Scotty, it comes down to this final frame. 5-3. Garden State's still in it, but the momentum is all Eclipse.
Garden State has to have this fourth period. If they don't, they're going to lose. And it's unfortunate because they started the game off so well. The coach has said this is a family unit. They've been together for so long. A lot of this group was here when the team was struggling. They've struggled these last 2 quarters. How can they rally? And all they need is 2 goals and then right back in it.
So let's not act like a 3-0 quarter is impossible in a setting like this, right? We saw Garden State have a 3-0 quarter in the first. Maybe they could replicate that in the fourth quarter. But Eclipse right now has momentum, and they have confidence, and that's like trying to stop Thanos.
If they want to replicate it, though, they have to win faceoffs. That's how they controlled that first quarter. They had possession. They got to get more possessions because their clears just haven't been good enough. They've resulted in a lot of turnovers, or Eclipse has done a really good job scooping up those ground balls.
But what I was saying earlier about New Jersey is that Jersey kids have grit. So don't expect them to be over this game yet. They're not going to stop playing until that final bell.
Especially Garden State. This team especially, their coach said they have a lot of grit, a lot of togetherness. This is nothing new. They've been down in games before.
A 2-goal lead in the sport of lacrosse is nothing. You can score 2 goals in a matter of seconds in this game. So Garden State very much in it, but they have to slow down the train that is Eclipse barreling down the track right now towards a Lacrosse World Series championship. It's the #1 overall team in the country from the rankings of U.S. Club Lacrosse against the 16 team in the country. But the 1 seed versus the 3 seed all comes down to this. A 2-goal game. Garden State needs a face-off win here as it's poked out by Hughes. Still free on the ground. Looks like a loose ball push. See which sides it's going against, and it's against Eclipse. Garden State gets the first offensive possession of the fourth quarter.
How can they take advantage of this possession? They didn't get many in the third. They have to use these opportunities like gold because they may not get many.
Wow, the ref was hesitating to pull that flag, and he eventually did it here. I know Eclipse is not happy about that one. As a ref, you have to be definitive in making a call. Holding the flag on your hip for a second, waiting 10 seconds, and then throwing it. Come on, son.
So a man-up or power play opportunity coming for Garden State. They have scored on one already today, the only one they had. Or one of two, as Cameron Keene goes over the top. Plays it through X for Matthew Solomon. Solomon already found the back of the net today. Tries the inside roll. Halted on goal line extended. Thomas Morris trying to get free for the pass from Solomon. Is now Luke Moy. Moy, hockey stop, frees up the left hand. Bounce shot saved by Caldroni. And here's the power play opportunity coming for Garden State.
Those are the type of possessions we saw Garden State have in the first quarter that were so effective.
That was a solid take, and now it's just a great save by Caldroni. You tell me, do you think you're making that save back in your day?
If I'm in high school and they're 13, maybe.
Depends the pregame
And
meal.
when I'm 13, no. Yeah, did I eat Wendy's that day? Yes. Caldroni did a great job tracking that. And it's offside hip. Every coach will tell you, shoot offside hip. It's the hardest place to save a ball as a goalie, and he just made it look easy. So back on the offensive end, they have the numbers advantage, 6-on-5. Fakes the step down. Ball goes right down to the ground. Need the possession if you're Garden State. They get it back on a great ground ball from Jackson Stebbing. Good ball movement. Down low for Cedric Schick. Up top, step down off the post.
These pipes, oh my Atlanta.
Goes over top. Liam Regan, the small guy, nearly gets the ground ball. Throws it back to the other side. Is the D-pull, number 15 in blue, Charles Najarian, as it's still free, waiting for it.
Veteran timeout right there. Good call, Eclipse.
And a timeout called. Able to talk things over. There's a look at that replay just off the post. They were that close to being down by one, 5-3.
I think the Garden State coaches, they have to be much more impressed with the way their team's playing in this fourth quarter. It's almost like it was in the first quarter. Slow possessions, getting the shots, and nearly taking advantage of them, but just getting unlucky hitting the post.
Solid take from Garden State.
Right now, 8 saves for Benjamin Cohen-Victor. In cage for Garden State. For Eclipse, Caldroni just picked up his 5th save. Not a crazy number, but he's had the saves when they've needed them most and was able to keep this game close when they were down 3-0. And now down or up by 2. 5-3 in the 4th, presented by Game Changer, as 8.5 minutes separate Eclipse right now from a Lacrosse World Series championship. It started with 28 teams 2 days ago, now leading to this moment, to these 2 teams, 3D Garden State 2029 and Eclipse 2029 Black, who have possession now, just have to get it over the midfield line and into the box.
Uh-oh.
Crowley, been the one-man clear all day long. Does it again.
Big stand for Garden State here if they get it.
Need a big stop to lead to that goal, to get them down by just 1. 2-goal lead for Eclipse. As here's Cutry with 2 goals on the day. A low-scoring affair here at Immaculata in Pennsylvania.
Killed that penalty too. Now Eclipse is ready to get going.
Especially now with no shot clock, you almost feel for Garden State they can't really afford to concede another goal.
What do you guys think about the shot clock? Do you think the shot clock should be implemented in youth lacrosse?
I think it's a good thing overall. I understand why it's not in youth lacrosse, but to speed up the game as a whole, and if it's going to be at every level, why not implement it in youth lacrosse? At least a higher shot clock to get used to it.
Yeah, I've seen some shot clocks implemented at different tournaments. I think it's pretty good. Make sure everybody gets their touches and make sure that the game is never being stalled.
I think from the stalling perspective, it's the best thing for it, just because you can have a game where you're up by a lot or you're up by a goal and you can just sit on it. As Nick Warden on the outside, no goal, picked up by Cohen-Victor, could be the stop Garden State needs.
There it is, a mom goal right here, because from our angle, that looked like a goal.
Need a good clear. Get lucky off the top of the stick of Jude McBride. Picked up. McBride not giving up on the play. Pulled out by Landon King. And now Garden State can slow things down.
I've seen Eclipse hit 2 overhead checks today. They've thrown 2. They've hit 2. I don't know how these kids are like this already. It's blowing my mind.
Back up top for McKeon. To the far side, Stebbings has 2 assists today. Luke Moy trying to go one-on-one on X. Trying to sneak it topside on Caldroni. Running it out is Landon King. He gets the backup.
Solid move right there. I know what the coaches are saying. They're saying get 2 more steps up, Luke. Got the shorty, get him up high, play a little big little down here.
King trying to get around the short stick. Quick stick feed and stopped. Shutting the door is Christian Caldroni with his 6th save.
Solid save by Caldroni. That's what Garden State wants. You can't ask for anything more besides them just converting on that.
That was a huge opportunity for Garden State, but as you alluded to, you really can't ask for much more. A great save.
Caldroni's been really impressive. The best goalies, and you see it with Liam Entenmann, the patience. If you can be patient and wait for that ball to release and not guess, that is what makes a great goalie. Caldroni showing a lot of promise with that. Here's Cutry, another post, the second one he's hit today. Cutry gets his own rebound. After that, gets it to Kwok. Now here's Aiden Kwok. The hitch. Gets loose. Cutry picks it back up. He's double teamed with 4 minutes and 20 seconds left to go in the fourth quarter. Back up top. Two-man game up top. Kwok gets it. Going down low. The feed hits Benjamin Marich. Doesn't quite get it in his cross. He's thinking about the shot a little too soon there. Short stick matchup for 21 in white.
And at this point in the game, Eclipse, they can afford to be patient. They don't really need to rush anything.
Here's Cutry to Kwok. Bounce shot. And it's a 6-3 game. Eclipse up by 3 with 3.5 minutes to play.
This is a tough situation for Garden State. You see the clock is running. Score is 6-3 right now. Everything is against Garden State right now, and Eclipse clawed their way back into this one, and now they're making a statement.
That mountain just getting a little bit more steeper for Garden State, and really now they have to push the tempo, something that they're not really used to doing. That isn't how their offense works.
That's the thing about Eclipse. Maybe a slow first half. That's what Coach Buzzio said. He said we've been slow in the first half, but our second half has always been phenomenal, and it's continuing here today. It was 3-0 after the first quarter, 6 straight goals for Eclipse to get us to this point. 3:15 stopped on the clock right now, and looks like a discussion between the officials and both coaches on the other side at the scorer's table. So getting that settled before we continue play, as you'll get a replay here of that last goal.
It might be looking at the clock right now. Like I said earlier, it was running. But what I was saying, what I was thinking in the beginning of the third was the person who, or the team who scored the next goal, when the score was 3-2 Garden State, it was going to be a big goal whoever started the half. And like we're seeing now, the team who scored the first half into the first goal into the second half is the one who's prevailing right now.
3-goal game late in the fourth quarter, 3:15 on the clock. That could change, but obviously you'll see that on your screen, and we'll be sure to let you know.
I don't think any discussion would be about the goal. It looked like a pretty clean goal, so I think this has to be some kind of clock malfunction or something.
Definitely just making sure clock is good as you get another look. And that's just a textbook shot from Kwok coming down the left side. Also, you'll know coaches look for a lot, as most players are righties. Aiden Kwok, a great lefty at this age.
Yeah, you know college coaches love to see lefties here. And having a lefty and a righty on the Eclipse midi line is proven to be great for them. Now, shout out to all of those listeners here. I know a lot of my friends at home are listening. Shout out to Lauren Pax and Brian Pax for listening. I haven't seen you guys in a while, but I'm hoping to see you guys soon. But thanks for all the support from all of you guys out here today. It's been a crazy experience here at the World Series, and I'm enjoying it all.
Yeah, definitely, Scotty. A huge thank you to everyone listening, from players to parents to just lacrosse fans in general. We appreciate you. As here's a fast break opportunity for Eclipse, recovering in as Garden State, getting them to slow it down now with 3 minutes to play. And it's funny, you mentioned the shot clock. This is an area where we could see why one could be needed if Eclipse decides to try and sit on it as long as they can. Right now, they're just going on a run as Garden State is pushing pressure out to try and get them off the ball. Fish gets around his defender. They need to switch as his goes down. Trying to jump the ball at any opportunity they can. And Fish had some real estate, but looks like Eclipse is just trying to carry it and kill as much clock as they can on this possession. Goes up top for Callum McBride. Just playing catch and run right now.
If you're Eclipse, why not? There really is no need to add another goal if you can just hang on to it.
You're going to see a lot of hero checks from Garden State trying to get this ball on the ground to at least get one goal back and make it a 6-4 game. Then it's a matter of just winning faceoffs from there.
Goalie's out of the cage now. Now they can send a double, but be careful with this one because you might get an easy bucket.
So there is an open net right now. Check goes high, a flag flies. And play will only stop if the ball hits the ground. And now there's the save and a whistle. And you see Coach Buzzio and Coach Regan were not happy with the shot. They would have preferred to hold on to it. And it looks like a timeout might have been taken by Eclipse as well. So with 1:23 on the clock, both teams are going to be able to talk things over. But Eclipse 2029 Black, a minute and 23 seconds away from being crowned Lacrosse World Series champions. 3D Garden State still is going to have something to say about it. As you see that shot, another save, 9 now for Benjamin Cohen-Vigdor. And if there's an MVP for Garden State, I'd say he gets the crown there because he's been fantastic, AJ.
Absolutely. He's done a lot in the cage, keeping this just a 3-goal game. But now for Garden State, they need offense. And whether that's going to come, who knows, with only a minute and 23 left.
It's an uphill battle from here, guys.
Definitely a long way to climb for 3D Garden State, who have done a great job as the 3 seed to make it through some of the best teams in this tournament. They didn't have to face the 2 seed in Team 91 Long Island because True Chesapeake, who was the Cinderella story, the 10 seed, ended up making it all the way to the semifinals and was even up at the half 4-2 on 3D Garden State, but they battled through that to score 5 straight goals and make it 7-4, and now sitting in the championship game. For both these teams, a massive accomplishment overall, either way. But Eclipse and both teams obviously want this championship, and Eclipse right now on their way with 6 goals to Garden State's 3 and a minute 15 on the clock. Double team coming for Garden State, trying to cause the turnover. Kwok goes over the head on the swim move.
13 is dancing back there.
Going to the other side. Under a minute to play now.
What a feat for Eclipse to hold 3D Garden State to scoreless in the last 3 quarters.
Coach Buzzio, who coaches the defense for Eclipse, he said this defense is a well-oiled machine right now, and Christian Caldroni, who's in net, says he just has a different level of compete in him. It is not normal, and it's what you need, as now Garden State finally gets the turnover with under 30 seconds left.
You fear now, though, for Garden State, it's probably a little bit too late.
Yup, the clock is running.
Fans getting to their feet. Garden State with 10 seconds left. As time winds down, 2 seconds, Eclipse is your 2024 Lacrosse World Series champions.
What a game from Eclipse there, guys. They just prevailed. Didn't let that first quarter bring them down. Slow start, but for those final 3 quarters, they showed who they were and did the thing, winning this game 6-3.
The Eclipse head coach has said this team kind of has a bad habit with slow starts, but they didn't let that affect them too much. Held Garden State scoreless the remainder of the game. Quite the accomplishment.
I just realized they all have blonde hair.
Yeah, that's
Bleaching the hair for it. Still a lacrosse tradition for big tournaments, and it paid off for them They are the 2024 Lacrosse World Series champs, taking down everyone in their path. This is the closest game they played in, which seems fitting, being the championship game, playing against probably the toughest competition they saw in 3D Garden State. And once again, I'm just going to give a hats off to Garden State. That New Jersey grit, as Scotty likes to say, played fantastic, put up a great fight against Eclipse and made it this whole entire way for the opportunity to play in this championship game here at Immaculata University. A great job by them. But Eclipse winning 6-3. Scotty, just a takeaway from this game and then this whole tournament, this whole experience as a whole.
Man, just a great game. You really see in this game how lacrosse is a game of runs. The tale of the tape here is one team went on a 3-0 run, and after the 3-0 run, the other team went on a 6-0 run, and that's the long story short. Now with the World Series, I think this tournament is one of the best. I love how the staff, how this tournament treats these kids like they're professional athletes. The whole time you're getting that introduction ceremony, you're getting all these people updating your scores, the stats, and doing everything to make these kids feel a way they have never felt before at a tournament here. And this moment right here, where these kids are throwing their equipment, having the time of their life, is a memory they'll remember for the rest of their lives. And I'm happy that I could be a part of it.
Fantastic game, fantastic tournament, capped off by really two talented teams, but Eclipse just having the upper hand, but really good game.
And we got some time. Harry Sikowski will MC the trophy presentation, which is in the back of your screen. You'll get a better look at it, but it's a Stanley Cup looking trophy, getting to hoist that over their heads. Like Scotty said, they've been treated like professional athletes, and they get a trophy worthy of professional athletes. So a super fun moment for them as they get ready to get that final trophy, and for Garden State as they made it all the way to this point. Shout out to Chris Stebbings, head coach for 3D Garden State, and this team that he mentioned. Kids from all over New Jersey. Core has been together for the past 4 years. 2 years ago, they lost to Madlax 17-2, and now today they were playing in this final game, and now the parents are finally able to come onto the field and congratulate their kids, as the parents are as big of a part of these opportunities as the kids are. The kids get to live it, but how do they get here? The parents, their commitment to being a part of this and to having their kids have these opportunities and be out here. Huge shout out to them, and they're as much winners today as those kids on the field right now.
Yeah, these parents put so much into these kids to be presented with the best opportunities ever and to be playing in tournaments like this. The parents, congratulations to your teams. Congratulations for even having them come this far. But thank you for all that you've done this tournament. It's been great having you guys around.
It's been an awesome experience. Love to do it. And it's been great to see these kids and the opportunities they've had, the opportunity to watch all these teams compete to the level that they have. And what a great event, what a great tournament, and what a great moment to cap it all off. So we are going to toss it down to Henry Sikowski with Lacrosse World Series, ran this whole event. Huge hats off to him and his team and what they've done to put this all together, as he will present the award and the trophy to Eclipse 2029 Black. But that's going to be all from us for this broadcast presented by Games Changer. For AJ Myers, Lax Guy, Scotty Royster, I'm Nick Kloss saying so long from the Lacrosse World Series Championship, where it's a final score of 6-3. Eclipse getting the win and getting that final trophy. So long, and have a great rest of your day.
Let's give it up for the 2024 Lacrosse World Series champions, Eclipse Lacrosse.